Stop. Hammerman time. Joel.
Yes, Andrew.
I know you go through the history of each and every show that we do, and I don't know if this was put in any of the books, but I like to think that this involves two monumental points in history. History in quotes.
Okay.
Do you want to, and here's what they are. This is the show that is this is where the decline of Deke Entertainment starts.
Okay.
To me, this is where, like, because if we've covered some Deke Entertainment shows that were like, this is pretty good. What happened? This happened. And I also think this is the straw that broke the camel's back that made MC Hammer go bankrupt.
There was a lot that went into MC Hammer going bankrupt. It wasn't just the show.
I know, but I'm just telling you, this didn't help.
No, this was not the success that they was hoping for.
No, I don't think so.
Not at all.
So, without further ado, of course, let's keeping in mind, this is a multi-award winning artist.
Yep.
An innovator in the genre of hip hop in the 80s.
Correct.
This is the intro. He did it. They didn't hire some other guy. He did it.
Nope.
This is what he decided was going to be the intro. So let's go ahead and fire it up.
Let's hit it.
Hammerman, Hammerman, Hammer. Whenever there's a crime, some crooks are gonna do time. They all better beware, cause the Hammerman will be there. Here's how it started a long time ago. The legend of the hammer and how it began to grow. He was given magical shoes from a hip-hop Motown dude. Together they had power. They stood up for what was right. But Gramps was getting old and he couldn't keep up the fight. Right. So Gramps and his granddaughter, they went out.
It goes on like this for like another minute.
It is entirely way
Oh,
too...
not like a...
This
This
intro,
so bad.
It's so bad. It's so long. Why is it that long?
Yeah, it is very long. You know, it reminded me of, so there's a trend in hip hop culture, I guess I would say, where younger fans and rappers make fun of like old heads for how much they're like, you ain't got the hip hop we got back in the day. And then somebody will be like, this is the bars that you had back in the day, and they'll make something up to like make fun of how cheesy 80s rap was. And this is a prime example of the absolute cheesiness that 80s rap had.
I'm not gonna lie. Imagine all the rap intros from like the 90s.
Very true.
It's probably the best sounding one, but it is still awful.
You think this is the best sounding rap out of all the cartoon intro raps from the 90s?
At least that we've covered.
That's a fair point.
Okay.
Usually, when you're doing a rap, it's never a good idea to do a rap song. I don't know what it is. I guess the passion just isn't there when you do a rap song but like, they're like, okay, you're going to write a rap, but it's going to be about these crime fighting dogs or whatever. And the artist is like, I'm not putting a lot of effort into this, just to let you know.
I think,
But this was MC Hammer's show. He should have.
I think he
tried
put-
harder.
dude, I think he did. I think he probably did put a lot of effort into this. Okay, well, not a lot, but I think he didn't just write it off, basically. And
I think he did.
It's just because I've been reading up on the man himself, MC Hammer, because, Andrew, to be honest with you, there's not a lot to talk about the development of
I
this.
can't imagine why. So, I'm going to give it about a 1.
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason it gets a 1 is because I find it absolutely hilarious that, like, we could probably say that this is at the height of his career. It's at the tipping point.
Oh, it is.
Definitely.
It is peak MC Hammer time.
Yeah. Hammer time is in full effect.
And honestly, I'll give it a 2.
2?
Yeah, mainly just because I like the beat. Like, take the lyrics out.
Okay, that's
it's a pretty
fair.
good beat. Yeah.
It feels longer than it's supposed. It's probably like a minute 15 intro. It
Exactly.
feels like it's 3 minutes long. It's terrible.
I feel like it was one of those situations where there was just like, hey, MC, you gotta write this intro. This is what the show's about. And he's just like, man, how the hell am I going to do this?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
So without further ado, Joel, I guess we're going to learn more about MC Hammer than we are the show today.
Yeah.
Or the show's creation.
Exactly. I mean, so this show, I'll go ahead and tell you, this show aired on September 7th, 1991, ran until 1992 with a total of 13 episodes, produced by Deke Animation and an Italian company, Riditallaria, something like that. Riditallaria. Aired on ABC, and it was just to capitalize on MC Hammer. That's it. And the reason why they wanted to capitalize on MC Hammer was because at this point, his 1990 album, Please Hammer, Don't Hurt Them, which has probably the most recognizable song in the world, which is You Can't Touch This, has killed it. It has sold the most records at this point in time from a rap album.
Okay.
It is like 8 million records have sold at this point in 1990.
Okay.
And MC Hammer, he is like early influencers where they cared about their brand. That's what he's doing. He is pushing the MC Hammer brand. He is doing television commercials. He is basically licensing, selling his name left and right. To
pulling a real George Lucas getting the merchandising rights to Star Wars.
And it's to keep the money coming. So I want to talk a little bit about MC Hammer because I didn't know much about him. I knew he went bankrupt. Okay. I knew stuff like that. But the man himself, this dude was like, imagine if this dude had a heart of gold, but was also just a hardcore gangster at heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, from what I remember, MC Hammer basically, like the story I know is MC Hammer was a really popular rapper until gangster rap came out and he just couldn't compete and he lost everything. That's really all that I know.
So MC Hammer, born Stanley Cook Burrell, grew up in Oakland in the 60s. Grew up in a very religious household. His first love as a kid was dancing. So he's actually went on record and talked about how when he was 3, he saw James Brown perform on TV at the Apollo.
Okay.
And fell in love with James Brown's dancing and just like started dancing when he was 3, never stopped, just kept dancing.
Okay.
And, you know, as he grows up, he kind of, so as he's growing up, he falls in love with baseball, actually becomes a bat boy at the Oakland A's. Well,
Okay.
he has dubbed his nickname Hammer, and he is traveling around with the Oakland A's as a bat boy. He tries to, you know, become a professional baseball player. That ends up failing. He actually ends up joining the Navy, where he'll serve 3 years in the Navy, comes out of the Navy, kind of starts knowing, hey, I want to kind of do entertainment. You know, I've been writing poetry, I can rap, I can dance, I want to try this out. First, starts out in a religious rap group in the late 80s because he's religious.
Yeah.
That doesn't work out. So then,
It never does.
Then he actually calls up some of his Oakland A buddies, asks them for a initial investment so he can kind of start his own record label. And there he produces 2 albums where he is basically just he's those guys that you pull up into the gas station parking lot and they're just selling their like CDs.
That used to happen to us a lot when we made trips to Atlanta to see our friends.
Yes.
For those of you who have never traveled to Atlanta before, you go to the right neighborhoods, somebody at a gas station will just give you a blank CD. I don't know if this still happens. I haven't been to Atlanta in a long time. I remember one time, Joel, it was when we were in college, and that guy gave us a full boombox. He goes, I want y'all to have this. And I was like, why? He goes, I just think you would enjoy it. I was like, oh, okay. And he closed it. He doesn't come in. He didn't even introduce himself. He just knocks on the door. I answer, you're there. And you go, who was that? I was like, I don't know. You know what the worst part about it is?
What's that?
I didn't even listen to the CD.
Oh, no, of course not.
It could have been the best rap I ever heard in my life. The sweetest of bars.
You should have gave him the chance.
I should have gave him a shot. I don't know what he was. He was like, this dude's going to get me signed somehow. But like, check this shit out.
This dude's dad is some record producer. He's my in.
Yeah.
So,
but that has happened to me a lot. I've gotten several gas station CDs.
Oh yeah. So MC Hammer is doing that. He's staying in the California area. He's just kind of, ultimately trying to grow his empire. Released these 2 albums. Someone at in 1988, he actually gets signed to Capitol Records. Now, this is when MC Hammer's career really just starts taking off. 1988, they basically redo one of the albums he's done, titled Let's Get It Started. They released that. And then in 1990, that's when he released his second album, Please Hammer, Don't Hurt 'Em. And this is the one that just, like we said earlier, just takes off. He becomes
lightning in a bottle.
He becomes a household name.
Yeah.
Okay.
He becomes famous overnight, more or less.
He does. And money is raking in. Apparently, when he signed to Capitol Records, they gave him a $1.75 million advance in 1988.
Damn.
That's how much they was like, we got something with this guy. They said at the height of 1990, Hammer made $30 million in that year. How did he make that? It wasn't just a record, Andrew. It was him advertising, him giving his name to be a cartoon. He was killing it. And that's really kind of where the cartoon kind of comes into place. It was just, them trying to capitalize on it. Signed up Hammer because he's just living large at this point. But we can, if you want, let's finish talking about the cartoon, and I can then kind of talk about some of the downfall and craziness around the life of MC Hammer.
That works for me. Yeah.
All right, so hit me with the voice actors.
Okay, so the voice cast of Hammerman is MC Hammer is Hammerman and Stanley Burrell in the live action segments of the show, which there are. Neil Crone is Ludwig. Clark Johnson is Hammerman in the cartoon. Susan Roman is Hammerman's would-be girlfriend. Ron Rubin is Righty. Cameron Twilley is Fly Girls. Luis Valance is Jody. And Maurice Dean Wint is Showbiz.
Okay,
so MC Hammer's other notable works as far as film and animation are concerned, he was himself in Zoolander 2.
Okay.
So from one shit show to the next. Neil Crone was Chuck in Hollywoodland. Susan Roman was the announcer in Arthur. Ron Rubin was Morph in X-Men, the animated series.
Okay.
Carmen Twilley was Undersea Gal in Man Under the Stairs in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Stevie Valance, also known as Louis Valance,
Louis of the Lambs,
was Miss Clavel in The Adventures of Madeline. And finally, Maurice Dean Wint was Constable Cleary in The Kid Detective.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
Conan.
It came out in 2020.
Conan, the Kid Detective, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yep.
So, here's a few things about this show of why it's bad. And I'll give a few of them on why it's good.
Okay, let's hear them.
First of all, the animation is horrendous.
Look, Deke did it the cheapest on this one.
The cheapest they possibly could.
Look.
So, for those of you who do not know, animation is typically, on average, an animation is animated at 12 to 15 frames per second. Would you like to know what frames Hammerman was animated on?
Was it 4?
It was 2.
What? What?
2 frames.
2?
I mean, if you, with the exception of the intro, the rest of the show is framed at 2 frames per second. Everything looks. This show looks like the whole season was made in a week.
Yes.
It is god awful.
It is.
The show premiered just after Hammer dropped the MC from his name and right before the release of Hammer's album, Too Legit to Quit. And in a VH1 Behind the Music, they claim that this is the straw that broke the camel's back of basically the entire industry was on the fence about MC Hammer. They were like, he's a sellout. Then he made a child's cartoon and they're like, this guy is not about this life. He's about making money.
Yes.
In the most shameless ways possible.
Dude, he was all about the money.
So let's get into Hammerman itself as a cartoon. What is it? It's a Famous Guy cartoon. So what do Famous Guy cartoons usually have? They have the live action segment at the beginning and end of the show. These also have that. MC Hammer looks visibly uncomfortable around children.
Yeah.
And I don't think he knows how to really speak to kids, because the kids, I don't know if the kids weren't coached to answer the question that he wants. The graffiti episode is a really good example. And he goes, he's like, so kids, is graffiti bad? They're like, yeah. And he goes, well, it's not always bad. And he's like, no, you're...
Actually,
what is
do
the
it.
lesson here,
Do
Hammerman?
it sometimes. Do it.
He goes, no, it's okay to do it as long as it's on your property.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
He's not wrong. That's still just a weird
He's just
lesson
giving,
for-
he's giving them their rights. You know, hey, you can't do it, but if it's on your property, man, don't let them tell you not to.
Then a giant "Don't Tread on Me" flag is in the back. It's a very strange show. No, I'm just kidding. So then Hammerman has two magic shoes. Stanley has two magic shoes, which would have been enough. Really. He could have just had two non-vocal magic shoes. No, they talk.
What?
They talk in the most annoying voices you'll ever hear. And that's saying something.
Yep. So what did it have going good for it, Andrew?
Okay. So the predecessor of Hammerman he was based on James Brown.
Yeah.
And all the jokes about James Brown were just funny.
Yep.
Surprisingly, there's a little bit of humor in it. Like Hammerman's would-be girlfriend.
Okay.
That's what her name is. So it's very much like Earthworm Jim, Princess What's Her Name.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, he would be Hammerman's girlfriend, but like Stanley's like shy.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Or whatever. So they have like their villain is a white man, which is funny to me.
Yep.
It was like he's like a 1920s white man. Like he looks like definitely like we need a villain, and we need him to be like the complete opposite of what hip hop is.
So it's 1920s capitalist.
It's a 1920s like top hatted like bully. No,
basically,
but he talks like tie you to the railroad tracks.
So he's basically the Monopoly Man, and how I would picture the Monopoly Man sounding.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
He's in Weekly Entertainment, journalist Dalton Ross listed Hammerman as his hit list, the top 5 most ridiculous things to be turned into a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yep.
This was number 1. So it won one award. He won one award in animation.
I get it, man. I get it.
It's a kind of like an educational show in like there's a moral to it. It's always like don't run away from home just because your parents don't listen to you sometimes, which is a plot.
Yep.
In one of the episodes. This was pretty hard to find. You can find, I mean, for probably good reason.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's animated very badly. I cannot stress enough how little effort they put into this show. It's like they just put it out there to say they put it out there.
And you are
nothing more.
And you are right. You know, we've done enough Dick entertainment shows to kind of see that there was a point in the 80s where Dick was like, it was a name. You got Dick to make your cartoon. That was actually something. But then
you could actually have a pretty solid program doing that.
But then there was that pivotal point in the early 90s where,
and I think this was it. I think they figured out the numbers must have been just good enough because of MC Hammer's popularity that they could be like, oh shit,
we're on to something.
Kids will watch anything. And it just nosedived from there.
Yeah.
Because now you look at Deke Entertainment, one, they're not around anymore. Yeah. But two, anytime they're brought up, you only think of two things. They brought Sailor Moon to America, which somehow gets them a pass for all the fucking other atrocious shit they put on the airwaves. Not on this podcast.
No. I think we've even talked about what the pilot of Sailor Moon was before they just dubbed the anime version and brought it over.
Oh, yeah. Very much a proto 4Kids TV.
It was trash.
Yeah. Garbage.
Yeah, but
it makes you wonder how anyone became a fan of Sailor Moon in the States with that dub.
So what was the second thing that you think of?
Oh, they're cheap.
They are cheap.
They were the cheapest animation studio around. Like, if you wanted a product to like hawk action figures at kids, but you didn't want to spend anything on the actual animation and rather just make a commercial anyway. That's what I'll never understand about shows back then.
Yeah.
The shows are commercials and then they do commercials. Why didn't they just do? I guess they had to have something to grab kids' attention. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Hammerman wasn't that because there wasn't a Hammerman action figure. And I'm pretty sure if there was, no one would buy it. Not based off of this piece of crap cartoon.
Oh, yeah.
It's truly terrible what they did to this show. Now, if you got back in time and told them to try to save it, what would you tell them? I'd tell them not to make it.
Yeah. Just
like, there's no reason to have this kind of show. There's
none. Zero reason whatsoever.
There's more of a reason to have King Arthur and the Knights of Justice, which is equally as weird as this show, might I add.
But probably better.
But like, it's like just a tad, like at least it was animated 15 frames per second.
Yep.
Not 2.
Dude, that's shocking.
If you want a good example of what that's like, Tenacious D did an entire animated album on their YouTube channel. Yeah, Apocalypto. It's animated. I think it's animated at 1 frame per second.
I was about to say, that is like, it's like 1 frame every 3 seconds.
So like double that, and you'll have what Hammerman looked like.
Yeah.
But Joel, before we go into your new reoccurring segment, let's talk more about the downfall of MC Hammer.
Yes. So MC Hammer, like mentioned earlier, we're going to start at the end and kind of go back and then make our way back to the end. And really, I want to focus on the bankruptcy. In 96, MC Hammer filed for bankruptcy. He was said to have about $14 million in debt, had a crazy, like 400 creditors. Like, he was broke.
What? I mean, do they ever say what happened? Like, he just got a slice of the pie and just couldn't stop spending money?
So, yes. So,
I feel like that would be
he basically bought like a 60,000 square foot mansion in his, like, that overlooked the hometown in Oakland that he grew up in. It actually, like, overlooked the, like, street he grew up in. That one costed him like $30 million. And he actually started collecting like racehorses, opened a stable in Oakland for racehorses, lost money on that. He had all these like luxury speed sports cars like Lamborghinis and everything else. The dude was just throwing money everywhere.
You know what's really, really weird about his rise and fall?
What?
He didn't have a drug problem.
So, okay. The most expensive thing that MC Hammer was doing was his payroll. So these are the people he has on payroll. They've said he's had about 200 people at the peak of his career. He had 200 friends and family on his payroll, and that was costing him about $500,000 a month.
So basically, MC Hammer went broke doing what you see rappers say in the movies.
Yes.
I don't know much about like real life, but when you do rags to riches, they're like, I'm going to help all my friends. Like, you're going to get a Lambo. I'm going to buy my mom a house. We all going to be living easy street. And he tried to do that, and it blew up in his face.
Now, from what I can figure out is MC Hammer, the reason why he had all these people on his payroll is because these were all people that grew up on the same street in the same block that he did in Oakland. And there was a pivotal point in his life, I think before he joined the Navy, where it was either join the Navy or start selling crack. And he joined the Navy, and he actually ultimately wanted to help his community by paying everyone to be on the payroll, so that way they wouldn't have to
sell drugs.
He was trying to give back to his community.
Yeah.
But here's some of the most fascinating things. So what happens if you basically just take all these gangsters and you tell them, hey, I'm going to pay you to just kind of be, like my posse, be my security, whatever it is. These gangsters aren't really going to change their lifestyle.
Oh.
They will still be gangsters.
I got you.
And I think, there was no evidence to back this up. It's just kind of looking at the progression of things. My guess is MC Hammer grew up in this environment. He wanted to help everybody out, but it didn't change how these other people wanted to live life. So he continued to kind of live in that life as well. So he kind of became his own little kingpin out of his group. There are stories. Dude, this is wild. Okay, so there are stories about how MC Hammer, because he basically his rap, he wanted it to be a very positive rap and also like inspire kids, like help kids out, get the kids involved. And that's what made it so popular at that time. But as, people started getting into rap, I think people started listening to more of that, like actual like hate, not really hate rap, but just the more hardcore rap at that point, not the pop
from
rap.
The streets.
Exactly.
This is what life is like on the streets.
So there was a lot of rappers.
This is the worst topic for us to be talking about.
It is. But look, there was a bunch of rappers in that era that looked at MC Hammer as being soft. So they would diss MC Hammer in their songs and like on interviews. Well, apparently MC Hammer was a gangster. He would hunt these people down. It was like known, well, if you talk shit about MC Hammer, don't go to like Oakland. Because if you had a show, he would show up and be like, all right, let's talk. There was like, I can't remember, I wish I could remember the rap group off the top of my head. Some rap group that they talk shit about MC Hammer, and they was doing like a tour throughout Los Angeles. Somebody calls in to like this radio station because the one of the lead guys had just on the radio dissed MC Hammer. Someone calls up to the radio station on air and it's just like, hey, we're coming for you. I'm going to fucking kill you. And hangs up. And they say a car full of Crips pull up to that radio station. Like, and they apparently, MC Hammer put like a $50K bounty out on this guy.
Holy cow.
He denied it all. Then there was like, what was it, Ice Cube? LL Cool J. He saw getting into a beef with LL Cool J. Ice Cube had a lyric for him. Apparently, he found out that Ice Cube was at some restaurant.
You mean LL Cool J?
No. So
right?
LL Cool J had a beef with him. He basically like threatened him. But then there was another beef in the future. Ice Cube said some lyrics about him to the point where MC Hammer gets a call from somebody who's just like, yo, Ice Cube's at this Roscoe chicken place. And he's like, all right, just hold him there. And he drives up, waits like a couple of hours for him to leave, confronts Ice Cube, and is just like, hey, I heard you said shit about my mama, whatever it is. Like, you better not be doing that again. You understand? And his response was, yes, sir.
Damn.
He did this with Redman as well. Same thing. Same response. And I also found this funny. There was one artist that Suge Knight, the infamous, shake down, I'm going to kill you producer, would not mess with. And that was MC Hammer.
It was MC Hammer.
Because MC Hammer was funneling all this money into all these gangsters. So he was a kingpin in a sense.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's like a yes and no situation. Like, I guess he paid these people to like be security, but like they were like, okay, we're gonna do security the way we would normally do any other thing in our life. Hey, talk about 110% though.
But
I would love to have that.
But that was the, that's
like with our podcast.
Oh my God, that would be awesome. But that was kind of, you could say the downfall, but that was really a big chunk of where all the money went for MC Hammer was just funneling this posse he had of funding.
I guess it's a two-part downfall. He was he was spending more money than he was making, and then also, as far as like the public media was considered, he was dwindling in the zeitgeist. Like people didn't want to hear his style of music.
Nope.
I will say I don't want to say, I mean, it's not much of a bounce back, I guess, but he has had, his most recent tour was in 2019, and he did win the George and Ira Gershwin Award for Lifetime Musical Achievement.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the same as the Gershwin Prize.
I guess not.
I don't know. But he won that in 2013.
Hey.
So I want to say he's doing okay. I think he's also doing ministry work.
Yeah, he's kind of went back to that faith he had in his earlier life.
So
I mean, he's not 1990s.
He's not penniless, homeless. Like,
he's fine. He's got money.
He's fine.
He's doing
I'm
fine.
I'm sure whenever you see a Stop Hammer Time something, he gets a royalty from it.
Whatever it is.
So yeah, I'm sure he's good.
Yeah.
God, do we not want to? Are we not going to air this? What if he comes after us?
To talk
like,
about what?
Your cartoon sucks,
like
and then he's like, "I'm gonna fly out to South Carolina and kill you two both."
I think he's probably calmed down in his old age.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get this kind of heat. Why didn't you tell me this earlier?
I don't think he's got those people on payroll anymore. That was one of the reasons
they
he
might
went
do
broke.
it as a favor.
I'll be like, how dare
They're like,
you?
oh, two dudes in South Carolina? No, we can make a few phone calls.
Look, MC Hammer, you did a fantastic job with your music. You broke hip hop mainstream, or you brought hip hop mainstream. You are an icon. but your cartoon sucked. Okay.
That's true. And we're going to go into Joel's new reoccurring segment about it. Reviews that get... shit. I had something with a hammer. Fuck.
Reviews that get the hammer and refuse that parachute dance their way off stage.
Reviews that rock the parachute pants and reviews that get the hammer time.
There we go.
There we go. We got there.
So, Andrew, I have no high review for you, surprisingly.
Shocker.
But I did find a 1 out of 10 review. So you'll get that. It's titled Worst Cartoon Ever. And I mean it when I call this the worst cartoon ever, but possibly not for the reasons you think. As far as the story goes, it's pretty basic, and dare I say it had a good message. It starred MC Hammer in a bunch of live-action clips that would introduce and close out the show. Each episode dealt with some aspects of life and had lessons to be learned. MC Hammer starred as Stanley, a young man who taught dance at the youth center, but one day was given a pair of magical talking shoes, which turned him into Hammerman, a musical superhero. Again, not necessarily a bad premise. But then why is this the worst cartoon ever? The animation or lack thereof is terrible, sure stylized in the experimental 90s way that a lot of places were trying, but the animation is just so janky that it's impossible to watch without getting a migraine. This honestly looks like the kind of stop-motion animation you made as a kid, but more colorful and angular. It looks cheap. The animation is choppy. It's nigh unwatchable. This is an experiment that should never be repeated, ever. There are episodes floating around on YouTube and various streaming sites for free. Watch it only out of curiosity and then stop after maybe 5 minutes because it's starting to hurt your eyes. Good idea, terrible execution. I think
experimental animation. I don't think being cheap as fuck is considered experimental animation.
No.
But I could be wrong.
Yep.
I'm only a podcast reviewer. I've never actually animated anything.
No.
But it didn't seem experimental to me.
It did not. But that's it for the reviews, Andrew.
Well, I believe that wraps up our episode on Hammerman.
Hammer time.
Any closing thoughts?
I mean, it's a garbage cartoon loosely based off of a Heart of Gold gangster.
Yeah. I'm about the same. I'd call him a rapper more than I would a gangster.
I
personally.
like that angle. Heart of Gold gangster.
Honestly, I really want an MC Hammer biopic out of anything.
Right?
That would be great.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there already is one. Anywho, if you would like to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/cartoondd. There we have a $5 tier that gets you stickers, pins, or pen, bonus episodes, and access to our Discord. We have a website, cartoondumpsterdive.com. There you can request a cartoon, request an anime, request someone for us to interview, or request 2 cartoons to go head-to-head in a junkyard brawl. We have a Twitter handle, CartoonDD. We have an Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and now Threads, the newest social media nonsense. All of them Cartoon Dumpster Dive. And as always, thank you for a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of our choice. Maybe one day we'll become millionaires like MC Hammer and then blow it all. Have a great rest of your week.
See ya.
That smile growing on your face.
That's it.
Is that not what you thought I was going to do?
No, I thought there would be like a build up. Like, you know.
No.
I love it. I love it.
Just that right there.
I love it. Perfect. We don't need
They're gonna turn it on, and that's what's gonna happen.
we don't need anything else.
This has been a Lug Hole podcast.